Acura Integra, complete model history. The first generation, 1986 to 1989. The first Integra debuted in Japan in 1985 as Honda Quint Integra as a replacement for the Honda Quint, and began being sold in North American market as the Acura Integra since the 27th of March 1986. It was related to the Honda Civic but designed and with features to be more upper in the compact car class and using an improved suspension with components borrowed from the Honda CRX-Si. The Integra had a unibody construction with an aerodynamic design and pop-up headlights. It was offered as a 3- or a 5-door liftback, powered by a 1.6-liter 4-cylinder high-revving engine with a 7,000 RPM redline, mounted transversely and developing 113 horsepower, which could be mated to a 4-speed automatic or 5-speed manual transmission. Although it was front-wheel drive, the Integra was a sporty ride, with power-assisted rack and pinion steering system and a sporty tune suspension with front and rear stabilizer bars. It also featured 4-wheel disc brakes, with 241mm ventilated discs in the front and 239mm solid discs in the rear. It was offered in 2 different trims, called LS and RS. For 1988, the Integra has been slightly updated, with redesigned indicator lights, front and rear bumpers, and a restyled interior with a new steering wheel and refreshed center console. The engine was also upgraded for 1988, developing an additional 5 horsepower and improved torque, achieved by a higher compression ratio and lighter rods. An LS Special Edition model was added with body color wheels and special trims. The Integra proved to be an instant hit, with an average of 50,000 units sold per year. The second generation, 1989 to 1993. Second generation Integra debuted with a more traditional design but not less aerodynamically, with a drag coefficient of 0.32. It was offered as a 3-door liftback or a 4-door sedan, both powered by a 1.8-liter 4-cylinder aluminum alloy engine with 4 valves per cylinder and dual overhead camshafts, developing 130 horsepower. The engine had a redline of 6,500 revs per minute, and it was mated to a 4-speed automatic or a 5-speed manual transmission. The suspension also received an upgrade, with coil springs and stabilizer bar in front and rear, while the braking system retained the 4-wheel disc brakes layout, but with increased size for the front ones to 262mm and were assisted by ABS for the GS trim. The Integra was offered in 3 trim levels, RS, LS, and GS. But for 1992, the GSR was added for the liftback model, powered by a 1.7-liter 4-cylinder engine, with VTEC technology borrowed from the NSX, developing 160 horsepower, engine that was offered only for the Acura version and not available for the Honda Integra. The GSR was offered only with a 5-speed manual transmission and had alloy wheels, sports tires, and a rear spoiler. In total, just above 4,800 Integra GSR have been built. The base engine has also been upgraded for 1992, developing 140 horsepower. Production ended in 1993, and the model proved to be even more commercially successful than the previous generation. The third generation, 1993 to 2001. The third generation Integra debuted in the fall of 1993, and it was mostly similar to the Japanese spec Integra, except some differences in trims and engines and the fact that the Honda version received a facelift in 1995 that replaced the 4 round headlights that until then were similar to the Acura model. The braking system was carried over from the previous generation, with the same 262mm ventilated in the front and 239mm discs in the rear, but became power-assisted, while the suspension setup has been improved, with independent double wishbone coil springs, stabilizer bar plus performance rods in front and trailing link in the rear. It was the first Integra generation to offer standard airbags and had good crash test ratings for both front and side impacts. It debuted as a 3-door coupe or a 4-door sedan in 3 trims, with the RS and LS powered by the 1.8-liter 4-cylinder engine developing 142 horsepower and mated with a 4-speed automatic or 5-speed manual, while the GSR was powered by the same engine but with VTEC technology developing 170 horsepower and offered only with the 5-speed manual transmission. This was the first time the GSR was offered both as a sedan or coupe, as in previous generations it was offered only for the 2-door and was fitted with 15-inch alloy wheels and Michelin tires. The GSR coupe also had a rear spoiler that could not be found in the sedan. In 1995, the Special Edition was introduced with leather and simulated wood interior trim. For 1997, the base engine dropped to 140 horsepower, and the Special Edition and RS trims have been replaced by the GS, equipped standard with sport suspension and leather trim. Also, in 1997, both GS and GSR received larger 16-inch alloy wheels. The most powerful version of the Integra, called Type R, was introduced for the first time as Acura in 1997, powered by a hand-built 1.8-liter 4-cylinder engine, developing 195 horsepower while also being 42 kilograms lighter than the GSR model. The engine used the VTEC technology, that means variable valve timing and lift electronic control, and the extra 25 horsepower came from high compression, low friction pistons, high performance camshaft and valves, high volume induction and exhaust, and a larger throttle body. The engine also features a programmed fuel injection and an oil cooling system. To further increase the performances, the Type R had a close ratio 5-speed manual transmission, a sportier suspension, and a torque-sensitive limited slip differential. The chassis and the body of the Type R were also seam welded for additional body rigidity, and the suspension mounts were also made a lot stronger. In 1998, the Integra was slightly revised with a new front and rear bumpers, grille, and new light clusters, adding new standard features. The wheels have also been changed with new 14-inch for the LS and new 15-inch design for the GSR. In 2000, the Type R changed its color, as the 1997 was offered in white, while the 1998 Type R was offered only in Phoenix Yellow or Flamenco Black Pearl. The air conditioning became standard for the Type R. The third-generation Integra sold well in the first years, with an average of 60,000 units per year, but sales dropped year by year, with below 15,000 in the last year. The Integra was phased out in 2001 and it was replaced by a new model, based on the 4th-generation Japanese Integra, but it was sold under Acura RSX name. The 4th generation, 2022 till present. The Integra has been reintroduced for the North American market as a compact 5-door liftback based on the Honda Civic sedan, replacing the Acura LX. It is the first Acura Integra that is not based on the Japanese model, as no Integra is offered in Japan on the same time. Honda only used the Integra name in China for a different model derived from the Honda Civic sedan. So it is the first Acura Integra to be built in the United States. The new Integra was unveiled for the first time in November 2021 as a pre-production prototype and was offered since March 2022 and is mostly similar to the prototype, except the exterior decals. It was developed starting from the Honda Civic sedan, with whom it shares many components but with a traditional Acura design, sharing some styling cues with the TLX. The body proportions have been inspired by the previous Integra models, while the interior has been designed to be driver-focused. Although it is the base model in the Acura lineup, it includes many standard features, with a head-up display, 10.2-inch digital gauge display, smartphone integration, 8-speaker premium audio system, and USB-C charging, wireless smartphone charging, Amazon Alexa built-in, and 16-speaker audio system. The new Integra is packed with active safety features like collision mitigation braking system, traffic sign recognition, traffic jam assist, adaptive cruise control, blind spot information system, rear cross traffic monitoring, and lane keeping assist system. On the Integra, Acura introduced new smart airbags that reduce the risk of brain and neck injury and is offered standard with airbags for both front and rear passengers. The body is rigid with a sporty tuned chassis, featuring fully independent suspension and precise variable ratio steering. The driver can choose between 3 driving modes: comfort, normal, and sport that adjust the throttle response, automatic transmission mapping, steering feel, the adaptive dampers, and gauge coloration. Power is provided by a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine developing 200 horsepower and mated as standard to a CVT automatic transmission that has steering wheel-mounted paddle shifters that are programmed to simulate gear changes when accelerating. The a-spec package is offered with the same CVT automatic transmission, but also with an optional 6-speed manual transmission with a close ratio and a helical limited slip differential to maximize the traction in corners. The interiors of the a-spec features different trims from the base model with a more lively colored interior. Acura also announced the new Type S model, which is supposed to enter production in 2023, sharing components with the Honda Civic Type R.